Okay guys, so this week we were asked about applications on Seiuchin Kata, so let's just go straight into it. The first movement is a drop and a pop forward with the forearms. Notice you want to try to engage your lats for this one, right? So the emphasis isn't on the hands themselves, but it's more on the elbows going forward. Much like a clean, is that what it is? So my idea of that is maybe he goes in for a shoot. So I still need to drop my center, so that way, because if my hips are high up and he gets underneath me, he's going to be able to lift me up real easily, right? So all I need to do is angle myself, don't be straight on, and I'm popping here, right? So he goes in and I'm popping here. From there, the next movement is something that scoops underneath. So you can think, I block the attack, now I'm going to entangle the arms. So it makes sense if I'm here, I scoop up, and then the next thing after that is a drop, right? Another drop, both hands out. So you could see something similar to this where I could take him down, where both hands are just coming straight down.
Yeah, so another way to apply that same technique is even from a grab that's coming from the back. So here, popping out, creating that frame this way, and then that same scooping motion here, coming up and grabbing. So once you're doing stuff like this, pulling out, like it's whatever you can grab, right? Anything that you can grab. And then it comes back in this way, right? So it kind of like helps create some room coming here. And then you can come out of it.
Right after that movement, after you open up, this hand comes up and this one comes forward as the other one goes back. You can imagine this as a scoop or a little hook here, or even think of it as an arm drag, right? So after you're here, this arm can come up, I scoop, and it gets pulled back as this one goes forward. So it's the exact same motion as this. You could even use it to turn and take it back, something like that. So the next sequence after that, the hands come together, the foot comes back, and then it pushes forward. So every time a foot comes up, anything in Naihanchi or the pasais, I'm thinking of like a hook sweep or lifting up their leg and doing something to their upper body, right? So if I'm here, maybe he's grabbing onto me. If I clasp my hands together somehow here, or even if my hand's like this, it's going to be behind his head, clasped together, and my foot comes up, so I'm going to grab his foot and then push him over this way. So it's exactly that same motion here. And then what comes right after that is an elbow, right? Like that. So you could even use it to cause a reaction. If I'm just moving him around and I use this to come here and I pull him back into me, to throw the elbow coming back up. It's the exact same sequence from the kata.
If I'm here and I'm shoving you this way, trying to do that, you're going to regroup, and then as soon as I'm putting pressure, you come there. So here, what's cool about going back is that I can actually just let you fall into my elbow, right? Versus having to like
pull me.
Yeah, so I'm pushing you, creating this, going here, pushing, and as soon as you start coming forward, I'm just going to plant.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's going.
Another thing that brought to my attention was if I lift my leg up, I'm heavier leaning forward, right? Like
yeah.
I'm falling into you. So even if I'm not even messing with this, the fact that I'm trying to lean into you and I lift my leg up, it means
creating
I get to fall into you, right? So it's that push and pull, action reaction type of thing. So that's exactly, if I lean into you here and you're gonna push me back, then you're just falling into my elbow.
Super tricky, sneaky,
Yeah.
sneak attack.
So the next movement after that is something like a reinforced block, where these things you see on pasai kata as well. Anytime we see a hand assisting another hand, I know a lot of people say like you're pointing to the appendage on your opponent. It also can be simply just you're assisting your other hand, right? As obvious as it is. So like if he's pushing into me and I'm too weak, it makes sense for me to just use both my hands and create a frame. You see this a lot in ground defense and stuff like that, putting a frame in front of, creating a frame out of your body, out of your bone structure so that you're stronger, you have a stronger structure. So imagine him trying to close the distance, he's getting his head close to mine, so it makes sense that I need to push him away, but if I just do this, he can just redirect the energy here, right? So if I assist this hand with my other hand and create like an outward angle here, now there's no way for him to close the distance, right? So he can push into me all he wants, but I'm holding him up with my structure rather than my strength. Right after that is from here, it goes straight to here, right? So this hand could just start brushing across, pushing his head, taking him down from there. All those takedowns, anytime you're going to a deep front stance like that or a deep stance, you're most likely taking the person down as you're stepping through him.
Especially like this motion, right? Like, so that could be pushing this way, but it could also be
Pushing into you.
pushing it, like me letting you push into me, right? So it could be me going like this,
Oh yeah,
dropping it, yeah.
that first one's a redirection.
Yeah, it's redirecting, and then that would show you like, well, if he comes in too close, you could drop one arm that way, and so like if you come here and you keep crashing down, I can go here. Oh, sorry. If you don't, it actually pushes you that way, then I can come this way.
So we're noticing a common theme in this kata. Mostly it's fading away into an attack or baiting your opponent into an attack. So right after this sequence here where you're going forward and back, the person, you doing the kata goes backwards as you're going one up and one down. Usually if you see something like this, it'll be like a fireman's carry, but if you want to think of any other applications, it's the person's punching as they're chasing you, right? So their momentum's going forward, so you just allow that to continue on. And pretty much any application coming from there, it's them chasing you and you're just redirecting, creating a wall in front of you, and whatever catches. So as an example, just imagine for kata, anything that catches, right? So that means you don't have to do movements with intention of attacking a specific limb, as long as you're doing the movement itself. So what we're gonna do here is Aaron's gonna do one up, one down, and alternate between the two. He could go forward or go back, it doesn't really matter, but I'm just gonna throw attacks at random, and we'll see how this goes. You throw 1, 2. So you guys see, you could just take a sequence in a kata and just rep it out like that with a compliant partner, but I'm still giving him like 50 to 70% resistance. We're not trying to hurt each other, but we're still making it live, right? We're not just stepping forward and throwing a punch like that. So after that sequence, you're here and you're gonna bring your hand over for like a round block and then back knuckle. If you're doing a transfer here, what I mean by that is one hand's one up, one down, and then you're meeting in the middle somewhere. So that means it's possible that if I have a hand here, I'm going to transfer it, right? So I'm going to redirect, and I can come back to this. So I'm just switching the hand from one hand to the other, right up to the back knuckle, right? If you want to think about something else, he has the punch here, everything else is pretty much the same, right? If I'm meeting in the middle, something like that, I'm grabbing down and I'm going in, and then I can come up from here. It's all the same movement. So the movement after that, I hammer fist, I back knuckle, and then my front foot steps across. So my front foot steps across, and then I switch the position of my hands again. So I'm back to this. So notice how it's the front foot rather than the back foot stepping backwards, right? If it was the back foot stepping backwards, I'm probably kind of trying to drag him. So I was here, if my back foot was stepping back, I'll probably be trying to take him down, maybe throw him this way. But since it's my front foot stepping across, then it must mean I'm trying to see his back or maneuver around him rather than him maneuver around me. So if I was here and my front foot steps across, it makes sense for me to do something like that where I can maneuver him. Or even from here, this hand comes up, steps across, and I'm back to here. So then you have a lot of options from there as well.
So into the kata, we have this thing going on from downwards block, and then here, and here. So we kind of got to the habit of using our elbows a lot, not only for striking but for defending or deflecting. So that kind of really is like reminiscent of using it to like guard your face from like punches or kicks or what have you, right? So you have your attacker coming in, doing this number right now. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to always like it's gonna land on their fist or what have you. All you're really trying to do is, this is a better way to brace like your face versus always trying to catch something with your hand. It creates a better shield around your head. Here I can duck under and crook with your shoulder, and this still allows you to be able to have some movement here and come back in, right? So it's always good to like have other things like that in your back pocket for if you do hit somebody, you hit them wrong and you mess up your hand, right? But stuff like that's important to know and practice as well. So
Keeping with the theme of receiving, it's the same idea, right? If I pull you into me, and then instead of trying to just aim at a part of your body, I'm just putting a spike up like a horn, and you're just falling into it. It makes sense to just stick this out there, like a spear. So the last sequence here is after you do this, you drop outward in and come to this. So it really just feels like a snap down that happens a lot in grappling. Like maybe he's grabbing onto you, you're just going here, and he's the kata sinks into a cat stance as well. So I'm dropping with my center. Same thing with just going over the top of the arms and coming down. It allows you to manipulate your opponent's center without jeopardizing your center as well. So you want to think about maintaining your posture while breaking his down, and big gross motor movements like this allows you to do that, and it catches everything. If you want to do it from a striking standpoint, he throws strikes, I'm doing the same thing, right? Instead of trying to block this hand particularly, I'm just doing like a big force field, a big wave, and whatever catches, and it allows me to catch whatever comes into this fence of mine.
I just want to explain that to us, katas are not like one elongated fight sequence. It's more like bits and pieces of really small events that are happening, right? So to us, like, I mean, really any one part of that can be moved around to any other part. I mean, it's taught that way, it's shown that way, right? So that you can remember this stuff, right? Yeah. So it's put in sequences that make sense. But, you know, to me, like, the beginning of being on Shodan, a lot of it is to me, it's just that, right? Like, it's this section is by itself from like the whole entire kata. I mean, it's part of the kata, right? But when you think about how to apply this stuff in real life, you would not go into oh yeah, well this happens, and then I have to do this, and then I have to do this. Well, this doesn't work because then it puts my body in the worst place. It's like, well, no, each sequence to me anyways is almost like a standalone, right? Each thing.
I mean, you don't just do a jab cross combination all the time, right? Sometimes you get a right angle and you throw that jab, and then you got a hook, and you throw another jab. Mm-hmm. But it's never, the combination isn't exactly how you're learning it all the time.
All the time. So. And that's how we come up with a lot of the ideas that we come up with, like what the meaning behind these techniques are, right? From always putting our bodies in different situations and moving around with the kata versus keeping it so rigid.
And especially the ranges that we work with, we're not always from this distance away. We're usually grappling in a grappling range or in a clinch range, or even further than this. How are we going to apply those movements, right? Because everything that from the kata here, it can be like closing distance. If we're this far apart, like why would I start walking towards you with my guard up? Why not just continue my movement
from the beginning?
From the beginning.
Yeah, and that throws people off hard because they don't know what the heck you're doing. Like I've done this sparring a lot. I'll drop my head this way and then come up, and it's like you just don't know what I'm doing. But it's this part of this kata, just pull it in and dropping the hammer down, and this one comes back over, right?
And you're closing the distance the entire time.
Yeah, I'm closing the distance and guarding myself and my face.
Yeah. And
even if you were to dive on me, I'm still gonna bring this across on the back of your head, right? So it's all
just mixing all the ranges, understanding that nothing's concrete.
Yeah.
That's a big one too. Like how you're taught it is not how you're gonna apply it all the time. So we like to think of unconventional applications because they can work in the right situation.